Hello. Good morning. It is Thursday, January 23rd. I am Rob, also known as thatDeveloperDad around here. And authentication. Holy cow. I'm using Entra as the back end because I'm hosting all of this stuff up in Azure. And why don't I post a little description of what I'm building here? Project. Boop. There we go. And getting things so that only a small handful of services are going to be allowed to call into other services and so on and so forth up in this thing has proven to be a whole lot harder in practice than it is in theory. And if you're just getting started as a software developer or what have you, you're going to run into that a lot. I've been doing this for 20 plus, almost 25 years, and I still get stuck. I still run into what the heck is going on all the time. It happens. You are not going to be able to study a thing once and then apply it for the rest of your career because stuff changes a lot. And um, I would say the most important skill and talent you can develop if you're getting into software making is the ability to learn and discern. Like there's all kinds of learning resources out there. You're gonna be inundated with a flood of information constantly, and developing the ability to discern what of that information you need to accomplish, what you're trying to accomplish, and what information you can just kind of toss aside or keep in the back of your head because it's important for background or what have you. That is incredibly powerful thing to be able to do. So I was originally planning to give all of my Azure services managed identities and then control access between those services by using those managed identities. Well, that turned out to be just holy crap, way harder to figure out than the documentation said it was going to be. Uh, there's a lot of nuances involved and so on and so forth. I never quite figured it out. So I fell back to using client secret credentials, and I figured out an okay strategy. It works. It'll do for now until I actually take the time to fully dig in on all of these different ways of establishing identity and so on. Um, until I figured out how to do things the way I originally would have preferred to do them. Sometimes we have to say, you know what, this will work. It's not as good, but it's good enough. So I'm going to use client secret credentials, and I think I've actually got it set up in a pretty interesting way in which the API will now only respond to application IDs that are in that API's whitelist of allowed colors. So I'll actually pull this over here and adjust some window sizes because whenever I pull from one monitor to the other, things get a little wacky. And my goodness, that's a lot of indent. That is absolutely suboptimal. I'll show you what I'm talking about in a second. Excuse me. So here comes the screen share. And I'm talking about all of this indent. That's unreasonable. And all I'm doing in here is setting up an assertion where I take the authorization handler context. I do a little bit of logging. I read in an array of allowed client IDs from my configuration. I check to see if there's an app ID claim in the incoming authorization handler's user. If there's not, out we go. If there is, we check to see if it is included in this allowed clients array. And if it is, then good, off we go. If not, out you get. We bail. And then we return false from this assertion. There is one little thing that I do not care for here. Oh, what even is going on here? That's the other thing I need. Not that. Rob, head and butt, man. Here we are. This, I need to rename this. Escape. Rename symbol. Because there is a fat finger capital letter in there. There we go. Believe it or not, spelling and little details like that matter. They really, really do. I can probably, you know what? I can reduce this amount of indent very nicely. By popping out like so. And that will do the trick. I don't mind scrolling up and down as much as scrolling back and forth drives me bonkers. All right. And all of this stuff, I'm just going to zap it. Because I no longer need, hey, what's up, Johnny Mick? I no longer need different authorization policies when running locally and running in the cloud. Because I've flipped from using an Azure Managed Identity, which of course we can't obtain when we're running locally, to this client auth or this client secret credential type thing. And I've got just a app settings section in here. It's an array of strings where I add the clients that are allowed to participate or to call into this API. Yeah, I get it. It's there's a lot going on in the world, and holidays bring people down. I know they bring me down. I didn't stream for like a week and a half, almost 2 weeks over the time of the winter holidays back in December. But I'm back at it now, and I'm closing in on the finish line. So here's that, and then over on this side, I've got a console app that's configured to talk to the API that's hosted up in Azure. And let's actually go ahead and instead of doing all of this stuff, I'm going to take this out because I did want to dissect the JSON web token when it came back from the authentication or from the identity provider. That's Entra. I can leave that stuff in here. I can display the claims without any troubles, I think. That's perfectly fine. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. So we'll hit debug, start new instance. We'll drop a breakpoint right here. And here's all my claims. Here's all the things. Yeah. And then we're going to go ahead and make the API call. He's probably sleeping because I'm just using the free tier of the Azure App Service right now. So it's probably going to take a second to wake up. Blah, 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 blah. Come on, you can do it. It's trying. Here we go. And this is the user profile for this Entra ID value here. We've got my display name, all of that stuff. Boogity boogity boo. And it's magic. All right. So what are we doing with all this? Well, we are going to take that work. I'm eventually going to delete this API test console. Right now it's in my git ignore, but it's going to be getting zapped completely, probably in a few minutes. So we're going to create a resource access component right here. And I'm going to add a new project. It will be a class library, resource access, and it's going to be called game tools dot admin API access dot abstractions. Project will be created at GM Tools source resource access. Let's make sure it's going to the right place, because I do have a folder structure that I want to kind of stick with as much as possible. So we'll create that project. Rename this to admin access. All right, open Sesame. I do not remember your old username for the life of me. Or at least I haven't mapped Johnny Mick to what you were using before. Oh, okay, Austin the Golfer. Cool. admin access. Components implementing this interface. This interface describes the operations that can be invoked against the backend administrative API for the DM's familiar. And I need let's see here. Task. Ah, very good. Got to pay the cat tax. Task. Load user profile. Async. String user ID. And we'll think about defining resource types for this stuff in a few minutes. And task start account upgrade async string user ID. Now we need different things to perform these operations. For loading the user profile, we just need the user ID. I want to change this to user Entra ID. Cool. And we're going to need some additional things on this start account upgrade async. So rather than have long lists of parameters, I'm going to create a couple of DTOs. data transfer objects class, and it's going to be user profile request data. And another new file, which will be a class called user profile response data. We will also need a class called account upgrade request data. And another class, account upgrade response data. Oh, very nice. I've not hosted on Ionos or Cloudflare. I'm using Azure just because I know it, and they've got all kinds of free things. Like currently, the only thing I'm actually paying for on Azure is the Azure OpenAI service, and I'm just paying per token. My average monthly bill since, gosh, August has been about 10 cents. So I don't mind paying that. Not one bit. And I spelled that wrong. Ugh. Response data. I'm also not in love with those with that naming. I'm really not in love with the naming. So user profile request, let's rename this to just request. All right. Rename this to response. And we'll rename account upgrade request data. All right. And account upgrade response data, we'll rename that. And we'll get rid of all of these data words. Save. 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 And save. Hey, C Films. Doing okay. You feeling better, dude? You finally get over that whatever it was that was keeping you down last week? Because you mentioned that you were not feeling great. Now, I need to add some references here. Just a couple of project references. And I need to add that DeveloperDad framework for sure. I also need to add a project reference for Game Tools framework. Save all of that. And what goes into a user profile response? Well, no, let's not worry about the response for that yet. Let's do the user profile request. And this guy inherits from an op request. Operation status, operation. Oh, how am I doing these things? I gotta look at another manager or resource access or something. Let's take a look at NPC access. It's a connection string, op result, IEnumerable, NPC access filter. Okay, these are just straight up parameter lists. NPC access model, string. Okay. I'm using a response pattern, but not a request pattern. Oh, good. Good, good, good. All right. I got to take a look at framework. And let's see here. Wrappers, op results. Op result was successful. Errors, blah, 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 blah. Add errors, copy errors too, aggregate errors. Op result of T. Okay. All right. So we're not using these request object patterns. That's a more sophisticated request response thing that I do in the admin API, and it's actually a little bit of technical debt that I have over here. So we're going to go ahead and delete these. I don't need the request. I don't need the request. Yes. Do that. All right. And the account upgrade response will be an op result of type string. Saveroo. User profile response will be an op result of something. Is there anything new with my project? I have the backend API hosted up in Azure now, and I'm getting ready to integrate the API endpoints that I need to call on that from within the main, the actual product application. Excuse me. So yeah, that's exciting stuff. All right, user profile response, op result. I do need a new class for that. And it's going to be user profile API resource. Rename. I don't like that name. Why is an Animal Protection Institute a backend? Ah! Admin resource. There we go. Describes a user profile as expressed by the backend administrative services. User profile response is an op result of, and I need to change that file name. Oh, what did I call it? I swear, I've got a memory like a goldfish sometimes. There we go. Save. User profile admin resource. This is an op result of user profile admin resource. Save. Account upgrade response. Okay. And what all do I need to define for this? Just Payload, copy errors to. All right. 10-second Tom. I have not heard of 10-second Tom. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a public string upgrade URL payload. Yeah, of course I can, Johnny. You would need to spell the basically spell out the URL to it without actually writing it like a URL. So something like spell it out like that rather than adding the dots and stuff, because otherwise Nightbot will say no posting of URLs in chat, and it'll just be a pain in the neck. Okay, so there's the account upgrade. What even am I doing? Cancel. Jeepers. Yeah. Okay. And then user profile response. Let's just go ahead and say public user profile admin resource user profile returns the payload. It really is. Oh gosh, 10-second Tom. Yes, 51st dates. I think I was drinking a lot the night that I watched that movie, so I don't remember all the details, but I do remember it as being rather fun. Account upgrade response. But believe it or not, my short-term memory is a function of age, not any pharmacology that I might have once engaged in my younger days. So user profile admin resource, we are just going to have prop user ID, string, user ID, prop, string, display name, prop, string. We have subscription status, external IDs. I can't believe we don't have the SKU on there. Prop string, subscription SKU. We're going to add that. Prop string, subscription status. Prop string. Actually, you know what? This is only going to be coming back for validation that a user profile exists. Just that we know they're in the admin system. I may, in fact, create a load or create user profile socket over to the backend API later. I'm not sure. Okay, user enter ID, string user ID, string. Target SKU, string email address equals string dot empty. What's this complaining about? Must be a compile time constant. There we go. mymischiefthecat.net. You know what? I got time. Oh, I spelled it wrong. Ah. Look at you. Can I share? I'd like to contact Mischief. This is super cute. Look at the kitty. Oh my gosh. Wow. Mischief's a handsome cat. What happens if I contact Mischief? Right on, dude. This is all right. A little bit of CSS animation on there on the hover. You swap out the image. Cool. What's this do? Oh, right on. Nifty. Very nifty. I'm not actually going to email Mischief. Not today. So that's really neat. And I guess you've got an X profile for Mischief. I'm actually in the process of making a concept of a plan to get off of X. I've started posting my stream announcements only on Blue Sky. I need to add my Blue Sky account to my Linktree and remove my X account from Linktree and then deactivate that, because after the owner of X's little disco dance move on national television Monday night, I don't feel comfortable doing business with any organization attached to him anymore. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I am out of coffee. I need to fix that. So I'm going to do that, but I'm going to turn on my robot. And y'all can follow me as I go to my kitchen. Get some fresh coffee. This will only take a second. Mischief the cat is adorable, by the way. And that is a very handsome looking website. Good work. And gosh, have you seen the latest incarnation of the application itself, Johnny? Because I could run it right now and do a super quick little demo, because I gave it a major facelift a couple of weeks back, like over the winter holidays and stuff. And it's at what, 7277? Yeah, it's at 7277. Let's go here. Pop over here. So here's this. I'm going to sign in. I did a lot of work with fonts and all of that happy stuff. Completely switched up the color schemes. Added some big buttons in the middle of the screen. This is all this button with all the special effects and stuff. 100% CSS and HTML. The images are all SVGs, so they're itty bitty tiny little things. But yeah, I'm really proud of the big shiny button here. So here's this. Come in here. Let's make a brewer. They are not retired. Let's see here. Non-binary dwarf brewer who started off life as a sailor. Sure. Let's generate that. And there's that. And it didn't actually do the thing. Let's go back to the list. Try again. It's done that a couple of times lately, and that's given me some concern. Lady Dragonborn, brewer, grew up as an urchin. Let's get that AI description. Here we go. That's more like it. Wow. 6'4", bronze dragonborn brewer. I'm sorry, mommy. Yes, I'm sorry. And here we go. Zarathra Fireforge. Boom. Oh yeah, the GitHub app is super cool. That's really it's fun to play with. I've got Copilot installed here. Back early December, I said, you know what? I'm going to cancel a couple other subscriptions and uh, actually eliminated something like $60 a month in subscriptions I wasn't making use of, and signed up for the $10 a month GitHub Copilot account. And then, of course, 3 weeks later, GitHub announced, oh, yeah, we're going to give basic Copilot away. But I've still got the pro version of it. And $10 a month is, in my opinion, money well spent. So, yeah, I gave this guy a facelift, added an about. You can actually use Claude in Copilot now. It's just in preview, but if I summon GitHub Copilot here, let's see. Let's go to a place where I actually need some Copilot assistance. Not in the dependencies, you silly goose. Let's go add a project. It's going to be another class library. It's really funny. When I'm building an application, like the UI is just a tiny little speck on the top of the application, and everything else is just vanilla C#.NET class libraries. I thought about renaming the stream to Oops All Class Libraries, but only other .NET developers would get that. Oh, very good. Yeah, I actually like to design for a mobile form factor first, and then on a desktop form factor, I actually just increase the amount of affordances. Like I could rerun the application and shrink it down, or even spin up a phone emulator and run it there, and it works nicely on my phone. It works really nicely on my iPad because I get the full desktop form factor experience. And some of the tools that I'm going to be developing, just there's too much stuff that you have to be aware of when you're running a D&D game. And I don't feel like things like encounter tracking, other world building tools are going to really be comfortable and have a lot of utility on an itty bitty little phone screen. Um, because it's all about making the DM's life easier with this stuff. Admin API access dot HTTP client. Nope, I don't want to call it .http client. I want to call it .http. So, new product, class library, game tools, dot admin API access dot HTTP. Boom. I do use Discord a little bit. I find that I am spending more and more time in it as the days go by. There's a couple of communities I've joined on there that, if I'm not careful, I will spend far too much time in them. But I also intend to stand up and configure a Discord server for thatDeveloperDad at some point in the not too distant future. I just haven't gotten to it yet. All right. Let's add our project references. I need API access abstractions. Yeah. Yeah, I'm on some more politically, socially focused groups. There's some other online communities that my wife pulled me into that I really enjoy interacting with. They're more nerd slash game slash pop culture focused. Um, there's all kinds of communities that I have found and joined their discords, and I do enjoy it, but it'd be really easy for me to lose an awful lot of time to that. So I am going to need in here, I kind of want to follow similar patterns to how I'm doing things elsewhere. There's the dependency builder, NPC access. I believe I'm just going through, I'm injecting what? The connection string. Okay. Where can you send me a screenshot? Oh, of the mobile app? Um, Gosh. Let me open up Discord real quick. Because I can paste links to my own stream. And you know what? I think I gotta, well, I gotta figure out how to create a perpetual Discord invite for my server. So here's DevDad. And let's see here. Create event. How do I do this? Invite people. How about just get a link? Hidden, use copy button. It expires in 7 days, but you know what? Heck with it. Pastaroni pizza. Oh, you dirty rat. Copied. Paste. Oh, that's so lame. Edit invite link. Expire after, grant temporary membership, generate new link. So role has been assigned. No. Cancel. This is silly. I don't like this experience. Hang on. That's so bizarre. Yeah, I don't like that new experience. My username on here is, oh, streamer mode is enabled. Duh. Lame. Oh, come on. That's dumb. Here's what I'll do. I'll send once I end the stream, add you with code with Johnny. There we go. Search, no. Direct messages, friends, all pending blocked. Add friend. Code with Johnny. Send friend request. All right, it has been sent. Cool. Who's this? I gotta do that later. Otherwise, I'm just gonna fall down a rabbit hole and get all distracted and stuff here. We got to implement this API access. Excuse me. So I need to NPC access as your table provider. Don't need to worry about that. Let's rename this to admin API options. Public class, admin API options. And it needs to inherit I options. Is that right? Nope. And it will have prop string tenant ID, prop string client ID, prop string client secret, prop string, come on, prop string required scopes, prop string API base URL. Save. Cool. I'll hit that in about around 10 minutes from now, because I've only got about 7 minutes left on this thing. So I will do all of that connection and networking homework afterwards. And then I got to figure out how to get a permanent Discord invite link. Because the link sharing experience that I just saw is ugly. I need a class called admin API HTTP provider. This will inherit iAdmin access. Or not inherit, it will implement. I should use the proper terminology. And now we need a constructor. It will take in the options. It will also take in an HTTP client factory. I don't want to generate the type HTTP client factory. Let's just pull in an HTTP client. There we go. Private. Read only. Options. Private read only HTTP client. And that's really about all we're gonna need from now for now. Hey, C Films, thank you. See you again soon, I hope. I always enjoy it when you pop in to see what I'm doing. HTTP client is HTTP client, and you know what? Private string. Let's just cache the auth token. Now this particular component is going to spin up and spin back down every time a request comes into the application that needs to call out to the API. Excuse me. And I kind of want to. I've been going back and forth on caching these auth tokens because this auth token is going to identify the application itself when it calls the API. So it won't be calling the API on behalf of whoever's, on their phone or using the app on their computer and logged in. It's going to be calling the API as itself. So, you know what? I'm not even going to do that. I need a private async task of string get API token async and var credential equals new client secret credential, passing in those thingies, var token, get token async, and it's this guy needs scopes. Nope. I got no brains. Get token. New token request context. New. There we go. And we need to add some references. And I don't know the name of the bloody thing that needs to be referenced here. There's a NuGet package I'm missing. It's Azure Identity. That's it. We got to add that NuGet package. Azure.identity. There we go. And we'll grab the latest. There's that. And then we're going to need something else here using Azure Core. Boop. Thing of beauty. And return token.token. There's another thing I forgot to inject up here, and it is logger factory. It will be nullable. And we need to add a reference. We might need to bring in a factory. Oh, yeah, we do. Or we need to bring in the NuGet package for that. So let's add Microsoft dot extensions dot logging. And let's just pull the abstractions because I don't need the whole bloody thing. And we're just going to bring in 802. There. and private read only logger will be the logger. We're going to make it nullable just in case that logger factory doesn't get configured out in the main app. And logger equals that. String token equals string.empty try catch cut and paste, bump these guys in, bump all of this stuff in, token equals token.token, auth token. How about that? Goodness gracious. My keyboard just went absolutely mental. Token.token. Save. Failed to get the API token. We're just going to log out and return auth token. There. Excuse me. So, first, well, before I go any further here, and this will be the last thing I do in this episode of That Developer Dad hacks on an application stack. Op result of user profile admin resource. And this will be a task of my God, I have got my head so far up my butt. The next stream theoretically will be at 1 o'clock this afternoon. That's Eastern time. Where are you located, Johnny? And this will be a task of account upgrade response. Save. So whatever 1 p.m. Eastern time. Oh, you're in Canada as well. So I'm guessing probably if you're in Eastern, that would be either Ontario or Quebec. Because everything east of Quebec is on Atlantic time, except for Newfoundland, which is in their own special weird time zone. But yeah, so 1 p.m. your time. Load user profile. Okay, that's all good. I have to fix these. User profile response. Task is upgrade response. Groovy. When I come back, we're going to keep implementing this stuff. And that'll be at 1 p.m. Unless, of course, I get sideswiped by somebody calling to talk about offering me employment because I've been unemployed since May and just doing this on my own. And I, as much as I'm loving doing this, my bank is starting, or my bank account is starting to complain about how I have not fed it recently. So I need to, unfortunately, as soon as possible, get back to trading my hours for the imaginary tokens that let me buy the resources I need to let myself and my family survive. Um, but yeah, I've actually got some irons in the fire there, and hopefully one of them pans out very soon. Because the guys that I've been talking to about joining their team are really cool people, and they're doing some really cool stuff. And yeah, I hope that works out. But I'll keep doing this stuff in the evenings once that, if that works out. So yeah, until one, I will bid you all thank you for hanging out. Thanks for joining me. Take care of yourselves. Um, oh, right on. Cool, Johnny. Yeah, I mean, if you manage to get it, you manage to get it. If not, software sometimes takes time, man. Um, the important thing is you keep grinding on it. It's just like learning to play an instrument. You're gonna suck at it when you first start. God knows, I know. I've played instruments professionally, and when I first started learning bass guitar, I was terrible. And then I got good enough that people wanted me to pay to do it. The same thing with singing and playing guitar. When I first started, I was awful, but I kept at it, and then eventually people wanted to pay me to do it, and they still do occasionally. Same thing with making software happen. When I started, I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and now I make it happen, and more often than not, people are willing to pay me to do it. So yeah, it's just keep your head up, understand that this stuff takes time, and give yourself grace. Like, be as kind to yourself as you are to the people around you. Um, and until the next time I go live, happy coding, and we'll see y'all again later. Bye now.